So let's chat. My name's Kathlena, and I'm pretty sure I'm on the spectrum. How did we get here? Let's chat about that a little bit. I've always known deep down that I was different, or I've always thought, I felt that I was different, and I couldn't I didn't know why. But I could just feel that there was something different about me and the way that I absorbed the world around me. I was diagnosed when I was 23 with ADHD, and even when I received that diagnosis, there was very much still a part of me that I felt like an imposter. I still was able to question or you know, like, maybe I am just lazy, like maybe that's it. And I went through my life believing that everybody else felt and heard and saw and experienced the same world that I did, but they had a different rule book. And if I could just figure out what that rule book was, that I would then be able to experience the ease that everybody else around me seemed to experience. I was always uneasy. I am always uneasy. So I received my diagnosis at 23. I was treated for maybe about 6 months. I didn't really like the way that my treatment was felt in my body, and so I stopped taking medication. In the insurance company that I was going through, that was really the only form of treatment that I was to receive. I didn't really understand what ADHD meant, and about 6 months after receiving my diagnosis and stopping treatment, I genuinely forgot that I even received that diagnosis, and I just went on with my life, struggling, but went on. And over the course of the next 8 or 9 years, I got married and I had a baby. And as the pressures of this new grown-up life started to build, I remembered one night that, oh yeah, I have ADHD. Maybe I should see if I can get that figured out, because the way that I'm going around life right now, or the way that I'm going about life right now, is not working. And so I, at the end of 2019, sought out treatment and really began to investigate what ADHD actually looked like in people's day-to-day, versus just symptoms. You know, there's this idea of like, well, yeah, I mean, like, I kind of have trouble focusing, but when it's something that I enjoy, like, I can get lost in that for weeks. So I don't have trouble focusing on that. So maybe I don't actually have ADHD, which anybody out there that is on the neurodiversity spectrum understands that that's not the reality. It's very ADHD. You have the ability to focus, but you have the ability to focus on things that you're interested in, and things that do not interest you are much more challenging. So over the course of the last 8 or 9 months, I've been receiving treatment, and I've also been educating myself. And one of the ways that I've been educating myself is by actually connecting with other people who have it and seeing what their experience is like. And so I started exploring Reddit forums. So on Reddit, there is a forum for ADHD memes. And I realized that a lot of the memes that I was seriously connecting with were also, people were talking about how closely related they were to autism and experiences that people on the spectrum have. And for one, I was like, I didn't even know that this was an ADHD thing, and then let alone an autism thing. And then 2, wait, other people experience this? This is not just a me thing. So there was this really big balloon of one, I'm not alone. That's amazing. Whether or not it's, at this point I was like, this is for sure like ADHD. Like if they experience it, then, I wasn't even considering autism. But I was noticing that a lot of the things that I was connecting with so strongly were also very much so, or very closely related to experiences on the spectrum. And so as I continue to do research and as I continue to connect with other individuals, I start exploring other subreddits connected to autism or Asperger's. And in this experience, I was led to a couple questionnaires that a lot of people on the spectrum recommend. And so I made my way there one night and I took these questionnaires and I tested very high on all of them. That was an intense moment when I'm seeing my scores being put in these are where, this is basically the way that they break these scores down is that, they break it down to, this is what females with known autism score. This is what females with suspected autism scores. This is what neurotypical people score. Like when my score is coming back at the very high level of individuals with known autism was when it really started to click for me that I actually think that I'm on the spectrum. And as a 32-year-old woman with a child who is married, it felt unreal, but also the most real. Like, I don't even really know how to put into words. I know that the minute that I actually spoke the words out of my lips, oh my God, I have autism, I immediately went into a meltdown. Now I know what meltdowns are, and we can get into that in a different day. I didn't know what they were, and now I have a word to be able to describe these experiences that I've had my entire life. And it took a while for me to be able to process it, and once I did process it, I went into intense research mode. And anybody that is on the spectrum or ADHD as well will know what that experience is or looks like. I could not think about anything else other than I need to absorb everything. I need to know everything about the spectrum, specifically the way that it presents in females. I wanted to know all of it. And so I dove into, I'm sorry if you can hear my dog in the background, I dove into a 2-month research binge where I read numerous books. I was connecting with people on the spectrum. I was hearing their stories. I was sharing my own story. I came out of that intense research space feeling like I finally figured myself out. And to go 32 years never really understanding myself and constantly trying to understand my brain, to finally see that was powerful. It was so powerful and allowed me the self-compassion and self-love that I had been searching for my entire life. And I'm still understanding myself. I don't have a diagnosis. And I know that self-diagnosis is a widely accepted thing in the autism community, but there is still this part of me that questions myself because I don't look autistic. What does that even look like? I'm curious. Most people that I have brought this up to, people that have known me my entire life, well-meaning people that just don't understand, have said that. You don't look autistic. My perception before learning what I have learned about what autism was very Sheldon Cooper. It's what we've been sold as a society. And now that I know more, whether or not I receive a diagnosis, I think it's really important that we start to receive more representation outside of that Sheldon Cooper type. That is one type. But autism is a huge spectrum, and there isn't a specific look. There isn't a specific action. There's this saying that I have recently learned within the community that is, when you've met one autistic person, you have met one autistic person. We all present differently. Our experiences are all different, and yet they're all very similar. So whether or not I choose to show my struggle, which has been pretty much not, it doesn't change the experience that I'm having internally. I've just learned to cover it up really well, and that's exhausting. And that led me to intense self-hatred and intense depression and anxiety. That shouldn't be a thing. And I really truly believe that we should be doing better. And I hope that maybe I can help a little bit by sharing my experience and my story. So here we are. I finally got an appointment to begin the process of an official evaluation. And while that is really exciting for me, it's also incredibly nerve-wracking. And now that it's a reality, I'm beginning to second guess myself. But that's also very much so diminishing my own experience. And I have really, really struggled my entire life with panic attacks and sensory overload and difficulty processing really anything if there's any level of distraction. So here we are. I want to share this and maybe help some other girl or woman who is out there who feels different but can't quite put their finger on why. Maybe this will make a little bit of a difference. I have been doing an crazy amount of research, and there's just not enough on how it presents in females and how it presents in adults who have not received the diagnosis. I mean, that's apparently a really common thing. And that's really unfortunate because context is everything. Had I known, I would have been able to give myself a little bit more compassion in my self-talk. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not really great at conveying or getting words from my brain out into spoken word. I'm going to try, and I hope it helps somebody. So here's to the start.